Did you see the paint dry? I did, and it will never be that slow again. Those were the words of Syracuse coach Dino Babers following the win against Colgate in week 1. We bring in John Casillo from Noon's Magician to help us sort out what we have on our hands on a Friday night. It's the only major college football game of the night, so all eyes at the college football world on Syracuse as the Orange host Louisville. John, we always appreciate the time. Looking at the numbers against Colgate, not necessarily the point total of 33, which is respectable, 33-7 win, but the numbers past that are really impressive. 81 plays, 3 for 3 on fourth down conversions, 554 yards passing, and you threw the ball 46 times and it only hit the turf 6 times.
Yeah, I mean, part of that is obviously the inferiority of the opponent. I mean, Colgate was a ranked FCS team going in, but nonetheless, I think you look at just the lesser scholarships of the FCS level, you're going to be susceptible to getting absolutely hammered against a fast-paced offense like this. I think we were able to establish a tempo right off the bat, and you saw the exhaustion kind of set in by the third quarter where their defense couldn't get set up. We were able to just run really easy, quick, kind of bunch formations several different times and just kind of throw it into a crowd and watch people quickly pick up blocks and grab chunks of 6 to 8 yards. So yeah, overall, I was happy with the effort, and then hearing that from Babers has me a lot more excited for what's to come this year. That he considers what we saw on last Friday slow.
And the players are typically going to back the system in post-game comments and are going to be complimentary of the coaching staff and the approach. But I think it seemed very sincere that these players are excited to play in this kind of offense.
I mean, who wouldn't be? So anyone who's watched Syracuse football in the last few years, knew what we were, trotting out an offense, and then looking at what happened last Friday, I think, it's easy to see why players, would want to, challenge the long-standing records in, their first game. I know, Irvin Phillips tied Art Monk's record for receptions, and that was in the first game. And I think his career high for a game was 6 going into that one. I think Amba Edetawo, his first game at SU after transferring from Maryland, caught 12 passes for 210 yards and a touchdown. It's not hard to get guys excited about this offense at all.
Obviously, you have a whole different challenge in Louisville coming to town tonight, 13th ranked team in the country that annihilated Charlotte 70-14. So we don't know a whole lot about their current performance versus the ranking, but based on the talent that Bobby Petrino's brought in, it should be pretty substantial, and they should be legit in the ACC. I know that the ground game for Syracuse wasn't necessarily to par in regards to what Dino Babers would like to see with 117 yards rushing, and it's going to be pretty difficult against the Cardinals tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's our biggest concern. I know Louisville can stop the run very well. I think they were able to shut it down last week. In general, SU's biggest problem is going to be, not having a power back this year. I think you saw it last week when we had to settle for field goals 4 times in and around the red zone. We just weren't really able to pick up those short yardage plays. I think Jordan Fredericks is really our biggest back, and he's not even that big a guy at I think just under 210 pounds. So yeah, when you're going to be sending out guys like, Dante Strickland and Mo Neal, who are, in the between 5'10" and 6 feet range and less than 190 pounds, that's going to become a problem. And that was against Colgate. Now Louisville's got a much bigger front four than that. And I think that's really going to be the difference, is that SU is going to have to throw a lot if they want to win. And eventually, Louisville is going to be able to catch on.
And people think great defense in college football, Alabama, LSU, Ohio State, Florida State, those kind of schools come to mind readily. But Louisville's got an extremely strong defense. They've produced a lot of NFL talent in just the last couple years. Devontae Fields, one of the best in the business, 22 tackles for loss, 11 sacks last year. He usually wreaks a ton of havoc coming to Louisville from TCU, where he was the Big 12 Player of the Year. Tons of experience and talent in the secondary with Shaq Wiggins, Josh Harvey-Clemens, and Tremaine Washington. So one last comment on the offense. What's the perfect formula for staying close with this Louisville defense?
I think it's going to be, like I said, I think it's going to have to be running the ball well. You're going to have to find a way to run the ball well enough to keep the defense in a little tight, so that you can open up, those screen passes that really helped us out last week, and then open up some of those deep shots downfield. I mean, Editawo had, I think it was 4 or 5 catches of 25 or more yards last week. And that was all opened up by, the short screen game and having just enough success, with the inside dive plays that are kind of a signature of Babers' offense. So yeah, if we can run respectably, I think we're not looking at an 150-yard game, but if we can run the ball well enough to keep them honest, it's going to open up opportunities just via pace alone.
Lamar Jackson fast becoming the face of the franchise there at Louisville. 6 touchdown passes, 2 rushing, 8 touchdowns already for this kid on the season. Obviously, Charlotte overmatched, and we saw a lot of good out of Lamar Jackson athletically last year. He needs to become more of a polished passer, but he seems to be on his way. I know, John, that you were real concerned about your secondary coming into the season. You got Lamar Jackson, who's not going to carve up a defense from a traditional standpoint, but when you got defensive backs who at a certain point after you've given up maybe some long runs to Jackson, maybe are peaking in the backfield, it could cause some issues.
Yeah, I mean, SU hasn't said specifically they're going to do this, but I feel like they're going to need to have a spy kind of hanging out on Jackson. It's the only way that you're going to stop him from taking off. I know I mentioned on the site too, Jake Melville at the beginning of last game, he's mobile, but not obviously to the level of Jackson by any means. And Colgate's quarterback was able to kind of find that sideline at the early parts of the game and take off a little bit. If Jackson is afforded the same amount of space, he's going to take advantage of that all day. So if we can deploy a spy of some sort, in case he does get out of the pocket, I think our main emphasis in practice all week was find ways to create containment on Jackson and force him to throw the football, and then hope that, from there, the secondary can improve enough to provide some great coverage in the back.
They have a veteran receiving core, guys that we've seen for several years now: Jamari Staples, James Quick, Jalen Smith. The running game's not great for Louisville outside of Jackson. He's the main threat. Brandon Radcliffe has been the leading rusher in previous years, and they've got a number of guys that carry the ball against Charlotte. What's the best you can hope for on defense? You're expecting the spy, and what else?
I think we're going to see in this game, we didn't really show much of anything on defense last week in terms of blitzes and things like that. I think Babers really wanted to keep everything under lock and key, and not surprising from a guy that doesn't have a physical playbook. But I think we're going to see some different blitz schemes and different looks. It's not going to look like a Scott Schaefer defense in the fact that it's always aggressive, always blitzing, trying to create chaos. But I think we're going to see some smart blitzes. I think we're going to see a couple different looks. I know Louisville's going to use a dime to try to stop us. I know that I've heard some talks about some nickel packages that we're going to toss out there. So I think that's probably our best bet. We're not going to shut down Jackson. I think that any thoughts of that are silly. But again, if we can stop him from absolutely tormenting the defense the way he did it to Charlotte last week, and then hope that the offense can kind of keep pace. I mean, the longer this game stays close, the better chances we have, because pace is eventually going to wear down, Louisville to a point.
In terms of making predictions, John, do you make predictions on the site, or are those out yet?
They are, and everyone on the staff predicted a loss to various extents. I have us losing 49-27. That sounds worse than I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be a game that stays tight. A couple turnovers are probably what's going to make the difference. SU is going to look better despite the score seeming similar to last year. And I think it'll be a good learning process for them that, while you've implemented a good amount of, parts of this new scheme on both sides, you still have some ways to go. And if you can't beat Louisville this year, that's nothing to hang your head about. There's plenty more opponents on the schedule that I think you should beat and can beat, with this system.
Spreads at right around 14 or 15, and this matchup I think is going to be interesting for no other reason to give a litmus test to this new offensive approach against a quality opponent and a Louisville defense that's not going to sit back. It's a very aggressive approach under Todd Grantham, so you've got athletes on one side and future NFL players that are going to play aggressively against an offense that wants to keep it moving, keep it going, that ran 81 plays last week. So those two forces going against each other should be quite intriguing. John Casillo, Noon's Magician, joining us to set up Friday night's battle between Syracuse and Louisville. Appreciate it, John.
Of course, Mark.